one. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It is day 3. Welcome to Small Business Week here at Karen Cook's Modern Marketing. And today we are going to talk about magic. We're going to blow your mind with SEO. My guest today is Darren Kramer, who I've known for years, and he's in the background. We're going to reveal him. But first, Darren is an SEO expert. He is the man. We go to him for our own business and for our other small business, well, businesses of all sizes, actually. And we partner with him frequently. So wanted to bring him in to spill some SEO secrets. Okay. They're just for us. But before we do that, let me just first again say welcome with my fancy little welcome to SMB week. And if you missed yesterday or the day before as we got ramped up, on Monday, we just shared a couple of small business statistics, what it means to be a small business, how many of you are investing in your digital and social media marketing, and how many of you are not. And, I get why you're not. It's not necessarily about the cost. It's about the overwhelm and the chaos, and that this is an ever-changing sea of information. And we feel it, but that's why we're here. So we get that. So on Monday, that's what we talked about. On Tuesday, yesterday, you met Genevieve Smith, who is our newest hashtag marketing ally. She is based in the Coachella Valley and is going to help us connect with businesses in that area, because I can't be there all the time. I'm there frequently, but I can't be there all the time. She's your go-to girl. She also talked about some live video pro tips, because she is out in the wild doing live video all the time, 24/7. Well, no, not 24/7, but all the time. So check that out. And tomorrow we're going to talk with my favorite accountant, CPA, David Weinstein. He's going to talk to us about tips for small businesses so that you can help your accountant help you, because that's critical. And then on Friday, we're going to wrap up in the most fun possible way ever. My good friend, Tony Levine, who is a serial entrepreneur and persistent creative genius. He had a wonderful business called Tease Toys that I carried their products in my e-commerce business. And then he actually gave me my first opportunity to work on some digital and social for a business other than my own. And that's many years ago. He's going to come and talk to us about all things scaling, manufacturing, etc. Without further ado, I'm now going to bring in Darren Kramer.
Ooh,
Hi, Darren.
Greetings.
There he is, the man with the SEO plan. I know. Darren, you started as a filmmaker, didn't you?
No, I started as a music producer, actually.
Oh, hence the guitars in the background.
Yeah.
Hey, do you have any feedback on back there? Do you have the Facebook on by any chance?
I don't. Are you hearing a feedback loop?
I am. Okay, we'll let it go. Hey, and also anybody who's watching, don't forget, you can comment live, and we will engage with you and ask your answer your questions, et cetera, et cetera. So, Darren, sorry, we digressed for a minute.
Yeah,
Started as a music producer, but I actually met you through a friend. You lived next door to her at the time.
Yeah, in Hollywood.
I know, back in the day. So how did you then, so the burning question would be, how did you go from music producer extraordinaire to SEO and user experience expert? Tell us.
Really good question. It's a long journey. My day job in the music business was in marketing. So I started at a record label called Epitaph Records, which was the largest independent label in the history of music. And they
cool, and maybe the coolest.
Maybe the coolest. So I think probably still is, and they got both Tom Waits and, Bad Religion. So that's like a good, pretty cool representation there. But they were really the first digital department in the music business. I founded the first digital department at Epitaph in the 90s. And, we had the first website of any record label that I know about, like in 95, I think we put up our first version of a website. We were giving away MP3s in exchange for getting email addresses in 97 for free.
And funny enough, And funny enough, Darren, that's right about the time that when I was working in the music business with Mojo Records, that we were getting like cease and desist from then the joint venture label that we were with, saying, have your fans take down their digital fanzines. Oh my God.
Right.
What? Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But go on.
Yeah. So that was the reaction of the mainstream music business to unrestricted distribution of music, right?
Right.
Our insight at the time was the catalog is valuable, right? We can leverage that to get data.
Yeah.
Right? So I learned very early on in my career the value of data, the value of owning a relationship with the consumer, right? And by incentivizing people, giving them something that makes them feel good, hey, here's some free music from our catalog, costs us nothing, right? You give us your email address, we now can capture all this information on you in a database and start marketing to you directly, no middleman, right? Mm-hmm. And we can drive you to an action. And so very early on in my career, I started developing websites in like 94 on the side. So it just kind of became a natural path for me. And then I got out of music I bounced around at a couple labels and did something similar, but I got out of music in 99, went to pop.com, which was Steven Spielberg and Ron Howard's big content destination site.
Oh, right.
Never launched. Yeah, and I was in charge of building very much technology that was YouTube in 2000, right? And so we built a whole system for user-generated content and for people being able to rate and share those things. And when the market collapsed for the first time back then, Paul Allen and his executive team decided that they didn't want to sit on the technology and wait for broadband because they thought broadband was coming in 2002, right? It would be at 80% propagation by 2002. And that was obviously a terrible miscalculation on their part because they shut it down. And so from there, I started my own company with the art director from there and one of the art directors from Disney. And we started producing lots of websites, engaging web experiences for brands, agencies, a lot of film companies, and just kind of naturally really became an expert in user experience. And that's what I've been doing ever since. I've run a couple of startups in between, but mostly around creating engaging experiences that drive consumers to commit an action, that create very easy navigations for people so that they can find things easily. They feel good when they come to a website, evoking emotional response, things like that. And SEO has always been like a big question mark for me. It had been for my whole career. There's like this black hole of like, how do you get things ranked on search? And gosh, it was 4 years ago, I was engaged by a company called Corbis, Corbis Entertainment, which was Bill Gates' company, actually. And they wanted to do a full-blown business analysis on the digital video scene, what was happening in digital video, what that market looked like, where it was going, who are the main players in that market. And I was tapped to help on this project. And so I went and interviewed like every major YouTuber, and I started doing all this research into YouTube. And what I was discovering was that Google had shifted and is still shifting their entire strategy of SEO around, or of search rank around YouTube. It's actually become the easiest way to rank anything on Google is actually a YouTube video.
And, and not Google Plus.
And not Google Plus, but Google Plus is a part of it. It's one factor, right? It's still a very high factor in their ranking, but really it's YouTube. YouTube is the strategy for Google in the future. There's some reasons we can talk about, why that is, but that got me really intrigued about search marketing. Okay, so I didn't start out, and that was 3 years ago. So I've been just deep in search marketing for the last 3 years, building a search marketing agency. We're a soup to nuts agency, but really our main focus is around search, with a big part of that being using YouTube as a strategic vehicle to drive search. And there's a couple of reasons we can get into, why I would recommend that to a small business. But as small businesses go, when you talk about organic search, basically they've been sold into this idea that, one, they have to do all of these particular things to be able to rank on search, and two, they should be buying AdWords, right? And competing with the other 10 local businesses that are their competitors, spending like in this AdWords, arms race, right?
I'm not paying attention to you. I'm looking at some data to share with you.
Oh, no problem. So for a small business, it's becoming more and more expensive to buy the top of Google because all of their competitors are now outpricing them, right? So if I'm a local attorney and I want to, rank for, custody cases, right? Custody related searches. I've got 10 other law firms that are all competing for that. So it could cost me $10 or $20 a click now, right?
Right.
And so the latest research says, say again?
And who's got that? Who's got $10, $20 for a click?
No small business.
No.
Very, very few, right? And what's your conversion rate need to be in order to justify that? I guess if you're selling a $50,000 lawsuit and you can potentially afford that, but if you're like a dry cleaner, or just any small business, a small consultant, there's no way you can afford $10 or $20 a click.
Right.
And so say again?
No. And so what do we do?
So what do we do? Well, there's a couple of things we can do, right? Obviously, social is a big part of it. But organic search also can be a solution to this. And what we found, and there's a number of studies around this, first of all, just going to the anatomy of the Google first page itself, right? 90% of all visitors that search for something on Google skip the ad. Okay, so even if you're paying $10 a click for that ad, even if you're willing to go to that length and say, okay, well, I'm going to do it because I have to, or I think I have to, you're still losing 90% of the traffic.
Right.
Right. So 9 out of 10 people are going below that first ad. In the 9 organic listings on page 1, I think it's like 50% click on the first link. Right. So now you're down to like, you get 10% of the first ad, 50% of the first link, right? And then it's like another 30% of the 3 links below that. And almost nobody goes to page 2. It's like between 2 to 5% goes to page 2.
Right.
So if you're not on page 1, you don't exist. If you're not in the top 5, you're not very relevant. You're going to miss most of it, But the interesting thing is that, if there's a video link in those first 5 results, there's a 41% higher probability somebody will click on the video link than they will on any of those first 5 text links.
But I'm just going to put that up here because I think that's an important, so let's back up for just a second, because that's background and information for the whole picture, right? So if you're a small business and you say, first of all, what is SEO? And we define it, it's search engine optimization, it's search marketing, and we get what that is. And now somebody comes to us and says, how do I get on the first page? How do I get on the first page? Right? The answer is potentially YouTube.
Potentially, yeah.
Right. So YouTube is your friend.
Absolutely.
And just reiterating, it's your friend because the first 5 results in a search are likely to have video content included.
Well, not always, but it's easier. It's easier to get there. It's dramatically easier to get there.
Okay.
Especially for a small business who may not have had a website for a long time. It may not be SEO optimized, right? So to create relevancy and authority related to a specific topic, it's far easier to take a YouTube video, brand the channel the right way, do all of the nuts and bolts pieces that are required around that channel using your social, which we can get into some of that. And building relevancy around the channel than it is to try to take your website and rank your website against the other 4 or 5 websites.
Right.
The key advantage, what I was trying to get at, is if you have that space, right? If you take the time and you spend the money and you get a video ranked on page 1 for, I don't know, West Los Angeles dry cleaners, right? Mm-hmm. And there's 4 other text links. So there's like 3 text links above you, your video, and then a text link below. Mm-hmm. Your video is going to have a 41% higher probability of being clicked on than the other 3. Okay. That's the key, because it's got a thumbnail. People like being sold information through videos, being told what they're looking for in videos, right? And then that gives you the ability to tell your story in a way that's highly captivating, that drives a much higher conversion rate, which is video, right? And using that experience to then push people into your funnel, or to give them answers about something that they're asking that make you an authority, where they go, wow, that person's very knowledgeable about the subject. I want to hire them because I understand what they're saying and it makes me feel comfortable.
Well, and so that's an interesting thing. So in talking about the expert authority voice and how it relates to social and just as a business and a brand and all this, a lot of people will say, I don't have the time to invest in a video strategy. I don't have time to invest in a YouTube strategy. Particularly if I am a business like West LA, we don't know if there is such a thing, but West LA dry cleaners. Right. But the truth is you can't afford not to, because if I'm searching for a dry cleaner in West LA, where am I going to look? I'm going to probably Google. I'm not going to Yelp. Will I? Maybe. I don't know. How does Yelp play into that?
Yeah. Yelp is a part of it. I mean, it depends on the type of business, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, when we look at trends overall, especially for local, what we find is that people click on the video more than anything else. 41% of the time, higher probability they're going to click on that video.
Do you personally click on videos?
I do. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I search YouTube, and here's a mind-blowing thing that people don't really realize. Okay, there's 3 major search engines in the world today. Google is 58% of all search traffic.
Right.
YouTube.
Right.
25% of all search traffic. Okay. Bing is like 18%.
Which one?
Bing is like 18%.
Hold on. YouTube is 25% of all search.
All search traffic.
Native. And I know this, but I want it to sink in with people, because that's what we're doing here today. Native search traffic. Ready? Bing. There we go. No, seriously, because it's not enough to just know it.
Right.
Right. Then you have to take action on what that knowledge base is. And if you know that, then what are you going to do? You are going to go back to developing your voice of authority as an expert in dry cleaning.
Correct.
You're going to show a nasty piece of ketchup all over that white dress, the before, and then you're going to show the after, because you know how to do this. And that is going to be a video that I'm taking my white dress that I just spilled coffee on. I'm taking it there.
Exactly. Right. And that's how you create competitive advantage, because, I don't know, I haven't looked at that particular niche, but chances are, like all small businesses, and there's stats out there to show this too, 9 out of 10 small businesses are not on YouTube. 9 out of 10 small and medium businesses are not on YouTube at all.
The full screen to say that. Go.
9 out of 10 small businesses are not on YouTube.
What?
You believe it? No, and the 10% that are, chances are they're not doing it right. Right? A lot of them aren't doing it right.
I want to share something really quickly with you. I have a client actually who they're different. There's an umbrella organization, and then smaller narratives that are managed by different pieces of the organization that all feed into the same YouTube channel. And somebody who manages one of those pieces came to us, who managed some other pieces for them, and said, you guys have pushed down all our content, like on the channel. And that wasn't a moment of, haha, it was a moment of, well, why would that be? Oh, well, first of all, everything was, maybe we should talk about this a little bit, properly setting up your YouTube videos. It's not just enough to do them and say, okay, now go. We need to properly optimize them. So that was what we did with those videos. And so, of course, they're going to push down pieces that are not optimized for search.
Right.
That was our intention, was not to overwhelm the other narratives. That was just a natural result of having done it correctly.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a really key point. There are multiple components to, properly executing a YouTube strategy, which, again, depending on your goals, like we're talking about in the context of search, right? SEO. So if my goal is to rank videos on YouTube, there's about 120 to 150 estimated factors for the YouTube algorithm to rank a video, which are totally different than the Google algorithm.
That's why I come to you and I don't, you are my go-to. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. So, that's what we do. So we live and breathe in these factors, and we adjust all of the different settings, and we do all of the different things that are necessary to put our customers in, the best possible position to rank on YouTube for their particular topic, for their particular keywords, right? So it starts with strategy. It always starts with strategy, getting clear about your goals. What are you trying to do? And if it's search strategy, what keywords are we going after? What does the competition look like? Finding the niche that we can really fit into, right? Then what you were talking about literally is, and this happens a lot, is like we had a client, the Gemological Institute of America, and they're gemologists, right? And they have like
I just remember you talking about them. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they're famous for the 4 C's, right? Cut, clarity, and I can't remember the 2, but
clarity, cut. Somebody chime in. If somebody knows what the 4 C's are, comment here, because clarity, cut, something and something.
Something and something, right? And that's if you're searching for, if you want to buy a diamond, right? They provide guides that tell you how to grade those diamonds. And they do lots of other things too. But they had this YouTube channel with like 250 videos that were mostly gemologists in lab coats talking about like topaz, and the properties of topaz in a really monotone way. And it wasn't engaging. And the main thing is their market. Who's watching this? Who's their market? It should be 24 to 44-year-old women who are getting married. Well, and now gay men who are getting married. And they were totally off base. And but then also their technicals. So like their copy, their descriptions, their titles, their tags, none of it was done properly, right? And so we came in and just adjusted that, like what you're talking about with the organization you were working with. All we did was adjust the technicals, and suddenly they started ranking for all sorts of things. And this is
again, specifically, just to clarify, ranking in YouTube.
In YouTube, right? Which is different than ranking in Google. We do both.
Right.
Okay. But again, coming back to like, what are the numbers? 25% of your customers who are searching are going to be searching YouTube. Another 58% are going to be searching Google. Right. So if you win in both places, you're capturing 80-something% of the search, right? You're dominating the market. Even if you just win in YouTube, like you're still capturing a huge chunk of the market. So the strategy makes sense. And, you mentioned earlier, like, what if, a lot of people don't have time to think about like YouTube. It's a whole other animal. Okay. Well, at the same time, you're spending money. Most small businesses, or a lot of the ones that I come across, are already spending money on AdWords every month just because it's already in their budget. Right. Well, and what's your return on that? Well, a lot of people, they don't even have their landing pages set up properly for AdWords. They don't even know their conversion rates. What's your ROI on that? Like, what's your spend? Has it gone up? Are you getting a return on that? But yet, so it's kind of like there's a little bit of a learning curve still. We're in this process of like people understanding, like, I've become accustomed to spending money doing this one thing. It gets me customers, and a lot of people in small businesses now are kind of being strong-armed by Yelp to keep their reviews up there. So they're spending money on that. That's definitely getting them some customers. Right. But what they're missing is, if we own this organic search piece, we don't have to keep paying for advertising every single month. Or we can reduce that by a certain amount to be producing content that's going to not just engage people for tomorrow, for next month, but for years to come. Right. And brand ourselves as an authority.
I want to share something also just real quickly about a personal experience as a small business owner. And this goes back to my e-commerce business many years ago. Somebody who I respected, who had a lot of e-commerce experience, said to me, "You need AdWords. That's what you need to do." And I said, okay. I mixed that in with my, I put that in my marketing mix, and I looked, it was a startup, and I went, okay. And I had some clever keywords. I figured it out and went to town. And I saw how quickly that money I burned through it. Then I thought, okay, it became a self-taught kind of thing. I went, okay, now I'm going to have to figure out and maybe you can speak to this a little bit, where are the deeper links and phrases in my site that relate to specific items in my catalog, that relate to different things somebody might be searching for if they're looking for a deeper item in the catalog or a blog post, etc. And I started to create a list of keywords that met that objective, because I didn't want to compete for $5 a click, right? Exactly what we're saying. So then what I discovered, so I started using some, and I got to say, I was pretty darn proud of myself. I was like, what? I just came up with it became a creative exercise too. I'm like, oh, if I am so-and-so and I'm searching for X, I bet I'm going to search, and you start to play with the different kinds of phrases and verbiage that somebody might use. So I started doing those, and much to my surprise and chagrin and horror, I did not yet know about things like keyword spies. And I discovered that the hard way, because these beautiful phrases and language that I had developed that were specific to products in my catalog that other people also carried, used keyword spy and found it. And suddenly my 4 or 5 cents a click on beautifully optimized pages, went up to $3, $4, $5, and went, what the actual,
Yeah.
And that was a huge lesson for me. And I went, this is never going to work for me. I was a very, very small business. I'm not talking about a staff of 10, or 50, talking about one person who was launching a new business. I can't do this. I'm going to have to way better at search engine optimization and search marketing. And eventually that sort of leads to inbound marketing and all of that. But that's another conversation. We're going to keep it as basic as we can today. But that was my first story. And I went, okay, this sucks. I don't have that money. Screw you. So anyway, continue. So where we leave off before I interrupted us?
Well, I think we were just getting to we were just getting to kind of the factors in YouTube search, right? And so you've got two different search engines with 2 different algorithms. It gets very complicated. So if you're a small business owner, it's you don't want to learn all this stuff. It's too complicated, right? But just know there's a lot of different factors that go into each search, YouTube and Google. Some of them are interrelated. A lot of them aren't. How they determine what gets onto page 1.
Right.
Okay. At the end of the day, though, it comes down to 2 things: relevancy and authority. Right? So they want to see, is this business relevant to what somebody's searching for? And are they authoritative around that topic versus all of these other potential competitors, right? And so what we work really hard at is, how do you engineer that on a repeatable basis so that you can take a potential business, in a small market, in a smaller medium business, and turn them into that authority. They might already be the authority offline. A lot of times they are, right? But they just haven't gone at it from the angle of search and going, okay, how do we take all of the elements that we already have, refine them in a way that showcases us, puts us in a position to have that relevancy and authority.
Right.
So the reason you see a lot of videos ranking on YouTube in general or the way they get there, is because that channel has now established itself as that authority. And then there's these offline components that are all interrelated. So Google looks at the relationship between all your social pages. They look at the clicks, they look at the shares, they look at how many followers you have, they look at how active those communities are. So you can go out and buy 10,000 Twitter followers, but if they're totally not active,
by the way,
people,
don't do it.
Don't do it.
I'll hunt you down. Don't do it. And don't do it on Instagram. Don't do it anywhere. You're wasting your time. Everybody knows that they're fake, by the way.
Yeah.
Because nobody's talking about anything. And you did on Instagram, you've got 10,000 followers and you posted 5 times. Really? Yeah.
So they know all that, right? But when it's real, when you really do have social communities that are spread out, if all of your about pages are done properly, if all of your artwork is done properly, it all matches, it's all super tight, okay, then Google looks at that and goes, oh, wow, these people have their shit together, right? Like they really have connected all the dots on all the different social pages, on their website, on their landing pages, on their YouTube channel, and all of the videos, everything matches up to what they're looking for, what an authoritative shape would be, if you will, for this particular topic, right?
Sure.
That's when it starts ranking. And so that's what we help, come in with with a process that helps make that simple, affordable, and quick for people to be able to take what they have and turn it into this network that allows them to.
I'm glad that you just said that about repeatable. It's repeatable. It's scalable. It's simple. It's affordable. If you are a small business, let's pull it back to small business. I mean, specifically, because a lot of this can seem like it only works if you are big business, if you're enterprise business. Not true. It's the small businesses who need it more than anyone because it is affordable. Is it free? No, because you need somebody like Darren and Karen Coates Modern Marketing, small plug, that those pieces all go together. Darren and I talk about this a lot. We talked about it with your gem client a while back. How do you put those pieces together? And again, affordably for a small to medium-sized business. You cannot have a business in 2017 and not have these pieces. That's my personal opinion, not because this is what I do, because this is what you do, but because of the fact that I am a business, because I've been watching this unfold for 15 years. This is not new. It's new for some people, but the practices are not new. And I can't stress it enough. I love that you touched on that. It's simple, it's affordable, but there are processes and there are skills required. And most of us don't have the skills that an expert in SEO has. They haven't studied it as you have. And so I love that we just went through some of that for the small businesses. Before we go, because we're kind of going to we could be here all day because it's a huge topic. Maybe we'll have another discussion next week about it,
Yeah, maybe.
Another facet. I would love for you to talk about, you sort of, from all the studying that you did, you came up with a process yourself. Working specifically on a business of your own, you use that as your guinea pig. And I'd love you to talk about that a little bit.
Sure. So when we first started this, I was looking for some case study that we could create where, like you said, we could do trial and error. We could really learn the process from the ground up. And I wanted something that was challenging. I didn't want to just pick an easy topic where there was nobody focusing on. And I happen to be a yoga enthusiast, and my life partner Michelle is a yoga teacher here in LA, and she was already producing video for a lot of companies out there. And so I said, you know what, let's start a yoga channel. And I did the research, and I found that there were about 3,500 yoga channels on YouTube when we started, and about 5 million yoga videos. So
5 million.
Yeah,
is that a hard number, or are you just doing like for fun 5 million?
There's 5 million results, right? So if you search YouTube right now, I think there's probably more like 6 million now for yoga. There'll be like 6 million videos that are tagged somewhere with the word yoga. Okay, right. Probably not all yoga videos, but like between, I'd say conservatively, 500,000 to 1 million videos just for yoga on YouTube alone. Okay.
Price
for all free. Most of it's crap. But it's there, right? And it's competitive. And so I went, okay, well, let's see if we can break into page one for some competitive searches around this particular topic and not spend any money, right? Because we didn't really have a budget, and it's like
key. And not spend any money.
Not spend any money. And now it was all my time, which I would,
which is money.
But so when we developed the system, and it was quite a journey. Kind of the Cliff Notes version is, in the beginning, we weren't ranking for anything, nothing, right? And we were just putting out videos. We're following best practices for a super competitive niche like this. It's far different than a small business niche, right? So you have to put a lot of videos out there. So we were posting 2 videos a week, every week. And we were playing with all the different keyword structures and focusing to come. What I figured out how to do was, it's all white hat, and if people don't understand what that means, there's different colored hats that they have decided to create in terms of different types of tactics.
White hat is good.
Yeah.
Black hat is bad. That's what we need to know. Yeah.
Right. And gray hat could be one or the other, depending on what you're doing. And we won't get into that nuance right now. But white hat means that everything that we're doing is within Google's terms of service. They support it, and that it may or may not affect your search rank, but it probably will. But we're not doing anything that is nefarious or anything that's spammy that would potentially get a flag from Google, right? And so what we did is we actually went out and we created about 300 pages over the course of 2 years, social pages and blogs around yoga and meditation and mindfulness, and legitimate,
right?
And put them out on, I don't know, 50 different networks, many social networks people probably haven't even heard of, file sharing sites on Google and all sorts of places that were open to the public that could be indexed. And then we created scripts that would take every video we post and put them on all 300 places and embed them with different variations of copy and tags, a lot of hashtags. And then Google indexes those, right? We have software actually that would send all of those to the index, because Google actually really only indexes about 20% of all the posts that get out there on social. So we make sure we send it to an index and we submit them through a bot every single day over a 30-day period. We even resubmit the old ones.
So there's some automation involved.
Yeah, there's some automation involved. There's scripts that we've created, and there are techniques that we've developed around existing software as well that help us create a fully automated system, actually. So we have clients that we set up a year ago, and every time they put a video out there, it goes to 100 different pages online. We don't touch a thing. We don't even review it anymore, and it's still working. It works. Now some of those might go down. But
what we would call a long tail effect. It's long lasting.
Long lasting, long tail. And so what happens is Google loves social sharing, especially for YouTube, right? One of the top factors on YouTube is social sharing. So if you create a system where every time a video gets posted, it goes to all these different social outlets that are related to your topic, and it goes to all these different blogs and Tumblrs that are related to your topic, then you get a boost in the rankings for that. And so fast forward, we're now in year 3. We have 170 videos. We have the #1 and the #2 Bikram yoga videos, which one of is #1 on Google and on YouTube. We've got videos ranking for power yoga, for yoga workout, for all sorts of different categories now, all sorts of different keywords now that are very competitive. And so
if somebody is spying on your keywords, it doesn't really matter at this point.
It doesn't matter, because there's only 15 top keywords that every single yoga channel is going after. And I should say that 4 of our top competitors have 7-figure YouTube budgets just for YouTube. Okay, BeFit and can't remember some of the, but there's Yoga by Adrian. They're putting so much money into YouTube because they're actually getting a return on that.
Sure.
And they have subscription services that they're driving people to as well. But so that's how competitive this one niche is, right?
And yet you manage, even with those people, with that level of spend, your system is, and your proprietary system that you've now worked out,
yes,
has managed to compete, literally compete.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, and I'll give you an example of a small business client. We have Exist BI as a business intelligence company.
Okay.
And so we just started working with them recently, and we've been putting out case studies around different types of you know, business intelligence software training that they do, right? It's a very small niche. And so in that particular instance, just putting them through our system without a lot of time, like a couple of months, we're starting to see them rank on page one. We were seeing some of their stuff rank on page one almost immediately, just by putting it through our system.
Well, what do you attribute that to? Because generally it'll take, you know, maybe 30 days. But
lack of competition. So they were in a competitive niche in the fact that, like, you know, IBM and SAS and like those companies all are their competitors on YouTube. But it's not like what we were experiencing with yoga, where there's 3,500 channels and people are spending 7 figures and posting videos every single day, right?
Right.
We just found the power of doing everything through best practices, right? Following best practices for creating the videos, creating the right content, creating the right tags, creating the right descriptions. There's all sorts of little interactive components to a YouTube video that you have to know how to do. So it's like creating calls to action within the video itself that link to certain things, to our network of business intelligence related blogs and social pages, right? So that whole process end to end, we found with somebody with zero authority in a brand new channel, we can rank them almost immediately with certain videos that don't have a lot of competition.
Right. So again,
others in 4 to 8 weeks.
To the pool of authoritative and relevant content that Google has already identified, if there isn't as big a pool, even if you're new to the game and you're a small business, using this system, you can still see almost immediate results in terms of, and that's really, that's so important, because the other piece of not having budget is not having time. Time is even more valuable than your dollar bills. You know, we need to carve that out as small businesses. So you have to deem what's important or what's most important. And this was a time saver. There's no downside to this. None. Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. And for a local business, it gets even easier, because now you're taking whatever that national keyword is, right? Let's call it, you know, entertainment attorney, and you add Culver City to it, right? And now you've just really narrowed your niche, which makes it a lot easier to rank. So when you're talking about local businesses, you know, it's really not that difficult, as long as you're following the best practices, you're doing everything the right way. One thing I want to comment, since we have kind of really narrowed our focus on YouTube, we haven't talked about SEO so much in general.
Yeah.
Within the YouTube world, one of the things I hear from a lot of people is like, well, we don't know how to produce videos, and, you know, what if the content isn't great, and blah, 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 blah. And so that's a big question mark.
Wait, we know how to do that.
Exactly. That's where I was going to say. So we collaborate, Karen and I, a lot on different projects, and, you know, we've got the ability between the two of us to produce videos that are affordable, that are on message, that will take people through an interesting story, an interesting journey, engage them, and push them to a call to action. And that's really the key. And create personality around it, so that it's reflective of the business, but it's also something interesting that people will want to watch. And one thing that it's interesting, because people kind of forget about video as a medium, or they kind of know this, maybe they don't know it implicitly, but whether it's television, a movie theater, you know, Facebook Live, or YouTube, when you're watching video, when you're just watching video and you're not actually interacting, it's what we call a lean back experience.
Right.
And from a psychological point of view, they study the brain, and they've done this for 40 or 50 years. This is nothing new. This is like what you get in Communications 101. Your brain goes into an alpha state when you're watching a video, okay? Which means you're more susceptible to suggestion. It's almost a hypnotic state if it's a really engaging piece of content.
I'm just about to go,
Exactly, right? You know, and so in that experience, when your brain is in an alpha state, that is every salesperson's, you know, dream, is to be able to sell you something when you're calm and relaxed and feel, you know, comfortable, right?
Because then I'm going to take my money.
Exactly. That's it. Right? And that's why they found that video is the highest conversion rate of any medium when it's done properly.
Well, and here's another little just metaphor, you know, easy to connect the dots kind of thing is look at the success of HSN and QVC and, you know, Ron Popeil. And listen, my father, not kidding you, has for the last 30 years been representing SEO on TV. Okay.
Oh,
For real. Hold on.
Awesome.
Yeah. Hold on. I have to make that go away. Anyway, we really are kind of short on time. You know, maybe, as I said, we'll circle back maybe sometime next week if you're free and tackle some other fine. Sure. But I want to thank you for your time so far, because we're at 10 minutes to 11 on a Wednesday. And, but this is important. So I guess in wrapping up, let's give the folks at home, I'm going to type them in on screen. Let's give everybody the 3 things. If you're a small business, what do you need to know about SEO? What do you need to do? What do you need to know?
Okay. Well, what you need to know, number one, is it's totally attainable. Okay. Organic search is something for a small business, especially locally. Chances are, unless you're in a really hyper competitive market, you can get on page 1. Okay. So that's number 1. Number 2, it like everything else, I would say in digital marketing, it comes down to what's your strategy, what's your goals, right? So getting clear about your goals and objectives. What are you trying to achieve? You know, and if it's just as simple as, you know, I want to, you know, improve my conversion rates online or whatever it is, or I want to find new customers. Just get clear about what those goals are and let that be the driver. And then obviously number 3, clearly there's no secrets here that I'm seeing YouTube, video in general, but YouTube specifically, as the vehicle of the future for search marketing. And that if you jump in now, right, you're going to be ahead of the curve, because 9 out of 10 small businesses are not on YouTube. And the 10th one that's on there, typically they aren't doing it right, or their videos are not high quality, and they'll be easy to either come in next to or knock down. And so the timing is probably the best timing you're going to have, because as time goes on, Google's going to start shifting more and more of their resources towards pushing YouTube. AdWords is going to become more integrated with YouTube. That's going to be their big push. And you're going to, and as you're going to see, as we mentioned earlier, I guess this is a kind of a 4th point, but AdWords, if you're in that world, is going to become more and more expensive, and it's going to, if it's not already cost prohibitive, it will be in the next year or so for you.
I'm putting that in here, people. So there's that. So Darren Kramer with the Rancid, I almost want you to like do a karaoke Rancid for us right now.
Maybe not right now, but you know, definitely we could do that offline. Take your Facebook to a karaoke place somewhere where it's a little darker.
but seriously, thank you so much for this, because like everything else in digital and social, SEO changes all the time, and you have to stay up to date on what the changes are. And so what Darren's been talking about today, very much relevant right this second. And you want to always be working with people who are very clear on where we've been, where we are now, because when the new things come down the pike, it's just simply a matter of integrating how to adjust. But if you start with somebody who has no sense of history and hasn't taken the time to study this the way people like Darren have, then you know, you're doing yourself a disservice. in my humble opinion. So if you'd like more information, go ahead and message us, on the blue button on the top of my page, message, and we'll hook you up with Darren or with whatever social and digital marketing needs you need. We're happy to talk to you, find out what your goals are, exactly what Darren was just saying, find out what your goals are, what your needs are, and we'll help you come up with a strategy that may or may not involve SEO. I don't know. We got to find out. Got to tell us what you want to do. Got to find out where we're at. Anyway, thank you so much, Darren. Love
Thanks,
you.
Darren.
Downward dog. Namaste to all.
Namaste.
Talk to you soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Oh, and this is going on YouTube.
See you, Karen.